Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the Hunter 4-post lift rack and the proper procedures for lifting a vehicle with this equipment. First, we'll show you how to bring the vehicle up onto the runways. We'll go ahead and chalk the wheels with the wheel chocks using proper techniques. Then we'll lift the vehicle into the air, show you the swing air jacks and how to use those to raise the vehicle off the runways. And then we'll go ahead and lower the vehicle back down to the floor using proper lowering techniques. So first off, we're going to go ahead and pull the vehicle up onto the lift. So what I've done already is pull the vehicle up towards the lift to make sure that we're coming on straight and narrow onto the runways here. I'm going to use my off-camera spotter who's going to give me some hand signals to make sure I'm not going to get off to one side on either side of the runways. And then once we get up onto the lifts, we'll pull up towards the turn plates and go ahead and park the truck. Let's make it happen. So now that we've brought the vehicle up onto the runways and we've placed our wheel chocks on the rear tire, we'll go ahead and talk about the control panel here. So we have 3 buttons. The first one is our raise button, second one is our lower button, and third is our lock release button over here. So the raise is simply that. It's going to raise the lift up into the air. The lower button is going to allow us to lower that runway down onto the locks. The lock release button is going to allow us to unlock the locks with this lift so we can lower the vehicle all the way back down to the floor. So now that we're familiar with our controls for this lift rack, let's raise the vehicle up into the air. So that bang you just heard is the locks engaging on this lift rack. So one of the things that's very important when using this equipment is to make sure we set the vehicle back down onto the locks before we go underneath to service the vehicle. So to do that, we'll lower the vehicle. And you see when I hit that lower button, the vehicle comes down a couple inches and engages those locks and does not come down any lower than that. So next we'll want to use the swing air jacks to actually lift the vehicle up off the runways. So to do that, we'll raise the vehicle to a comfortable working height and then we'll go underneath and talk about our jacks. When lifting the vehicle, it's also a good idea to raise the lift rack a little bit higher than that comfortable working height to ensure that the locks are engaged at all 4 corners of the lift. Also, when lowering the lift onto the locks, it is advisable to watch all 4 corners of the lift rack to ensure the runways are lowering onto the same lock position and are level. So now that we have the vehicle up on the lift, we're going to use our swing air jack to lift the vehicle off the runways. But we need to talk about a couple controls with this jack first. The first being our pivot lever, which is going to allow us to pivot the swing air jack down into position. So let's do that. And what that lever does is allows us to swing our swing air jack down into position. So one of the points of note with this lever here is we want to make sure that our telltale indicators on either side of the jack are in the locked position or on the green side of the lock. If they are not, we do not want to try to raise the vehicle, otherwise we run the risk of the jack actually swinging out underneath the vehicle. So our second control is our lock-unlock lever here located in the middle, as well as a lock reset. We'll show you how that works here in a minute. So another point of note with our jacks is the jack pads up here on the top. They're able to rotate 360 degrees as well as flip up to grab things like axle tubes or the underside of control arms, as well as a short flipper. So for this particular vehicle here, we're going to go ahead and use the flat pads, and we're going to raise our working beam to contact the vehicle. In this case, we're going to use the bottom side of the control arms. So to raise the jack, we have levers on either side of the bottom, and to raise the jack, we'll push forward, and to lower the jack, we actually pull those handles towards us. Okay, so we'll go ahead and position our jack pads so they're underneath the control arms here. And once I'm kind of happy with that position, I'll go ahead and raise the working beam. So as this comes up, you also hear a set of locks clicking on this jack. So just like with the full-size lift, we want to make sure when we have the vehicle up in the air, we're going to set the vehicle back down onto the locks for this swing air jack. We grab both of our lower handles down here on the bottom. We're going to pull towards us. And you'll see the vehicle come down slightly and engage those locks. So at this point, the vehicle is sitting mechanically on the locks, and there's really no risk of it coming back down any lower than this. So now that we've completed the service on this vehicle, let's bring the vehicle back down to the runways. So to do that, we need to take the jack off of the locks. So we'll go ahead and raise the working beam. And this is essentially taking the vehicle off of the locks so I can disengage them. So once the vehicle raises a slight bit, we use our unlock lever here, located in the middle. And now my locks are completely disengaged on this jack. So when I come back down, pulling the levers towards me to lower the vehicle, we'll see the truck comes back down towards the runways. So earlier we talked about this lock reset lever. So the purpose of this is if I had to reposition one of my jack pads when I was initially raising the vehicle, I would use my lock reset lever here to essentially reset the locks. So now my locks, when I come back up off the runways, will re-engage so I can reset the vehicle in a position that I need it to be in. If I don't use the lock reset, it means I have to bring the vehicle and the working beam all the way back down to the home position to reset those locks. So a real handy feature to have that here. So go ahead and we'll bring the vehicle back down to the runways. And you'll see the working beam comes back down. And once we're pretty close to the home position there, we'll make sure we stow our jack pads on either side. And we always want to make sure that the jack pad pointy end is pointing towards the center of the lift. Otherwise, if it's spun to one side or the other, we could run into issues where it's binding up on the side of the runway. So we'll always make sure that's pointing towards the center. We'll bring our working beam back down to its home position. Once I've done that, everything will reset as far as the locks. And now at this point, I can go ahead and pull my pivot lever, pivot my jack back up, and I can stow it back in the center of the rack. So now that we've lowered the vehicle back off the swing air jack, we're going to bring the vehicle back down to the floor. So just like with the swing air jack, we want to take the lift up off the locks, disengage our locks, and bring the vehicle back down to the floor. So I'll show you how that works. So first we'll raise the vehicle slightly. So once we've raised the vehicle a little bit, we're going to press and hold our lock release button. And you hear a small puff of air as those locks disengage. And then while we're holding our lock release button, we'll simultaneously hold our lower button. And typically it's good practice to give out an audible clear signal to let anybody know that's around the rack that the vehicle is coming back down. So we'll go ahead and do that. Clear! When lowering the vehicle back down to the floor, it's important to watch the lift and the area around the lift to ensure that no one enters the area as the vehicle is descending back down to the floor. So we've brought the vehicle back down to the floor. So the next thing we want to do is back the vehicle off of the lift rack. So to do that, we'll remove our wheel chocks from the rear tire. I'm going to ask for the help of our off-camera spotter here to give me some hand signals to make sure we back the vehicle straight off the lift rack. Every Hunter product has a dedicated operator's manual that can be accessed on our webpage. This brief training video is a supplement to published operation and safety materials provided with this product. Please review and understand all of these materials before using this product. So, those are the proper techniques for using the Hunter 4-post lift rack. We brought a vehicle in onto the runways nice and straight. We lifted the vehicle into the air. We used the swing air jack to lift the vehicle off the runways to perform our undercar service. We lowered the vehicle back down to the floor. And with the help of our spotter, we backed the vehicle off the lift nice and straight. For information about our lift racks, as well as all other Hunter products, visit our website, hunter.com. Thanks for watching.